Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Flyover Live. We're coming to you from Liberty Street on Mass Ave in downtown Indianapolis. Let's get started.
There's a black cloud rising, broad and wide, like a dark.
All right, thank you, everyone, for joining us for another episode of Flyover Live, a weekly podcast talking about the latest entertainment and political news from the eyes of three Midwestern millennials. I'm your host, Cliff Dennis, and I'm joined here to my right by Brent Pierce.
Cheers.
And Mark is back from his assignment in Fort Wayne. Hey.
We really missed Mark.
I can tell.
And as always, we like to thank the Elms for our intro music. Great guys. Thank you very much. And today, our guest is Daryl Hollonquest.
Junior. Yes.
Don't forget the junior, man. Yeah.
So, if you guys have nothing else to say about what you did maybe last weekend, we can get started. But
Well, we saw each other last weekend.
we did.
Came over to, I cooked some grub.
Yeah.
Folks brought some grub. We had some drinks. It was a nice little Saturday.
Yeah.
be
Well,
honest.
and for those of you who don't know, Brent is a master smoker. And, of
This
meat.
meat.
isn't Colorado.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of the smoked meats.
I have tried my hand at doing some
And it
some
was
smoking.
delicious.
He
Did
dabbles.
a couple of pork shoulders, fantastic. Some beer brats as well.
Yeah.
Pretty good, I think.
All right.
So.
Yeah.
Like if you had to entice like royalty with your meat, how well do you think that would go over with your
Okay,
smoked
that's
meat?
asking TMI.
Oh,
Okay. Yes, entice royalty. No, it's not really a royalty thing. It's buddies in the backyard with the cooler.
But is it good
you pour
enough to
barbecue
feed a queen?
sauce?
Right.
I mean, it's
Oh,
pretty,
she
it was
would-
pretty solid.
Yeah, she would go nuts for
Okay.
it. But yeah, certainly off camera though. That's, I don't want to be seen like that. But yeah, no,
Right.
it was a good time.
Yeah.
Lots of good grub. Well, maybe next time we'll get you over there and you can judge for yourself.
Oh, you don't want that. I'll clean you out.
Well, we did. I mean, I did have 2 pork shoulders there, so
I'll
it
clean
would have
you
been
out.
enough. Yeah.
Mark, did you do anything last weekend?
No.
Thanks, as always, for your input, Mark. All right, well, now that we've clarified that Brent is a master meat smoker,
Oh dear. Yeah.
Daryl,
Thank you.
thanks for coming out this
No
week.
problem, man.
So the reason we're having Daryl on the show today, for those of you who don't know and that live in the Indianapolis area, there is a organization and week or 2 long event, is it?
Yeah, it's from the 13th of August to the 23rd of August.
Okay. This Thursday is the start of it, IndyFringe. And for those people that don't know, do you know a little bit about what?
Yes. The IndyFringe Festival, it's an 11-day, traditionally long theater festival that local groups and some out-of-state groups, they can come and, workshop shows or present shows that they've been working on for like a while. And it could be some avant-garde stuff, some traditional stuff. It's all, and many cities have IndyFringe, not IndyFringe festivals, but many cities have Fringe
Their
festivals
version
as
of
well.
Fringe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's
There's
always
some
like a
history
great
there,
time,
right? It's
yeah.
The whole 11-day. It goes back a long time.
Yeah,
right?
I believe it started in the 40s, the late 40s, and then it just kept snowballing on, and
yeah,
then we
like one city did it, and then another,
and then
and it kind of
just
grew.
hopped on. It was like hotcakes. It was like
Yeah.
hula hoops.
Well, so is it purely theater? Because I feel like at one point I had a random conversation with the lady at a bar, and
Sure you did.
she worked there, and I thought she was performing music live. So is it? I mean, it's you're on stage theater, but you can pretty much get away with doing anything you want.
Yeah, I guess that depends on what do you accept as theater, you know?
It's a broad definition. Of
Right.
it,
There are some stand-up acts. There's some. I believe there's been a few operas in the past.
Wow.
There, you got your traditional plays. You got like your avant-garde plays with the music, kind of like 4D, if I could say 4D theater, if that's a thing.
That's like when they throw stuff at you.
Yeah,
into the
totally.
audience.
Well, yeah, or you throw stuff at them. Either way.
Oh wow, it's a two-way street there.
You
Throwing
throw
stuff at
me
each other.
tomatoes, I'll throw you breadcrumbs.
Well, how about some information on venues around town and pricing and
Oh
all
yeah,
that,
because
and where folks can.
it goes on everywhere, right?
It's
multiple venues.
it's mainly in the Mass Ave area here, and all like the theaters up and down the strip. Like they're gonna go dark for like the next 2 weeks, and there's the Tots Theater, which is a little bit down.
Theater on the Square.
Yeah, Theater on the Square for those of you that are not hip to the lingo in Indy. There's the Comedy Sports Theater where you can get some improv. There's the actual like IndyFringe Theater that like it's kind of like the headquarters building, and that's also a venue for performers. And then there's the Phoenix Theater. That's where you can get some of the Phoenix specializes in like a lot of like first-time plays, and and there are a lot, and just a lot of the theaters in this area like basically help us out, and it's pretty thankful. Like it's awesome that there are so many venues that are willing to help out.
Gosh.
Yeah.
It's like fighting to even get a space like is impossible almost.
Over
Like,
11 days. About how many shows are there?
I believe the number that we were told it was 384 performances.
Wow.
That
I was just kind of
spectacular.
scrolling through the schedule on here, and I think the estimate is tons.
Tons and tons.
Thanks for the
And
That is a
they're
tech-
all
Yeah,
gonna
well,
be
that
in the
clears it
next
up for
11
me.
days.
Producer
Yeah,
Mark
as to
with
how
the
many
official
there
number.
are.
Thank you.
Oh.
So,
It's like
so
10
your
bucks,
show
or-
though
Yes.
I right?
is Orange is the New Black Keys.
Yes, it is an improvised musical parody set in a women's federal prison.
Go on.
Yeah, it's
Without giving too much away, because we want obviously everybody to show up to the
I mean,
show.
I want to hear more about this, but do you need more selling than an improvised musical set in a women's prison?
I'm
I
sold.
feel like that's
And I
that's
have no
enough.
clue what's going on in there.
Well, last year for the Fringe Festival, the Comedy Sports people, we put together a show called Shame of Thrones, which was a parody of Game of Thrones, and it took place in that universe, and it was spoofs of characters that were already there, and they just ran whatever the audience ended up giving them as well. So it's kind of that
nice.
same concept with Orange is the New Black Keys, except it's now we're gonna start singing as well, and it's gonna be awesome. Like
But
I'm really
completely
excited for it.
improv.
Yeah, it's all made up, all improvised.
Is Black Keys in name only, or is there like a Black Keys theme that's in the musical?
I believe like a lot of the music that comes with that comes with the show. I don't want to say it's Black Keys inspired necessarily. I think that's
Yeah.
just more for the pun.
Play on the pun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great pun, by the way.
It's a
Oh,
very
definitely.
clever title,
That's
yeah.
That's why we went for it.
Yeah, when you scroll through the list of titles of performances, that one definitely jumped out to me as like being super clever. So I'm
either
gonna have to check
either
out.
that or Orange is the New Black Sabbath. But then again, next year.
Yeah, yeah.
So is it all folks from Indy Comedy Sports?
Yeah, it's all of the players from Comedy Sports. So like when the Fringe Festival's going on, like we're not gonna have our normal matches that we do in the theater, because the shows will be going on. But we will have a match later in the month of August. I'll get that info sorted out in my brain in a little bit. But yeah, it's all players from Comedy Sports. It's about 7 to 8 of us, and we're gonna be alternating like performances. So like each time you see the show, it'll be a different cast, but we're all from the same pool of performers.
Different makeup of the cast. Yeah, you were telling me in the green room before the show started that you got your start.
AKA standing
bar.
about
Yeah,
5 feet away.
Just off the stage here. You were telling me that you kind of got your start by working at Comedy Sports and just eventually sort of taking on a role as a player, right? I mean, you didn't jump in there first go, but your role there. Yeah.
I started at Comedy Sports. I got my official "We want your kid" message in the late day, the late May area, May month. And I didn't actually start like, doing stuff there until June. And like when you start out, you usually like work in the box office, work in the kitchen, I do the support roles until they see what you can do like with your improv style until, like they're ready to see
you really
if
run
you,
like you help run everything.
Yeah.
About the...
Yeah, everybody there does everything.
Wow,
like
that's
there's
pretty
no
cool.
stars.
Yeah.
And once they feel that you've gotten to that level, like that they want to be like, okay, we want to put a jersey on you, put you on the field, then like once you hit that point, that's when you start playing. I didn't start like playing until like November of that year, and then it's been history. It's been a very fun ride so far.
Did you study acting or improv growing up? I mean,
Yeah, I in high school I did a lot of drama. And my senior year, I joined the improv group at my high school. I went to Warren Central High School of the East Side. And I joined the improv group my senior year. I was always a fan of it. It was called Fun Monkey. And that's where a few players that were in Fun Monkey at high school also came and tried out for Comedy Sportz, too, and enter in it. And that's awesome. But I did theater in high school. I did improv in high school. I did technical theater in high school. And then I went to University of Indianapolis. And I just recently graduated from there in May with my bachelor's in theater with an emphasis in design and production.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It was a very fun 4 years. A very sleep-deprived 4 years. And while I was there, I tried doing an improv group there with my buddy Nate. That kind of didn't turn out so well. But then, joined Comedy Sportz and started doing all the awesome stuff with them. And
Very
then the
cool.
Fringe Festival is now here upon us, and I'm in that.
Very cool.
awesome.
Very cool. So once Fringe is over with, you said in a couple of weeks or so, for everyone's reference, they can continue to see you at Comedy
Totally,
Sportz
yes.
Indy.
Yes, Comedy Sportz Indianapolis, 721 Massachusetts Avenue.
And you guys do shows
We
like,
do,
every weekend?
We go hard, except for the Fringe Festival weeks. Like we have matches every week, every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at 7:30, and Saturday nights at 10 o'clock. And then on Thursdays at 10, we have we host an open mic night, an open mic event called the 10 at 10, and each performers come in, the 10 performers, 9 of them get 5 minutes, last person gets 10 minutes. And that's $5, and you have to be 17 or older. And then Fridays at 10 o'clock, we have a rotating slot where we do, we can throw in some long form some nights. We can also have like some musical stuff going on, and then we also have our unscripted series, which is kind of like what Orange is the New Black Keys is, and Shame of Thrones. Like that kind of evolved out of what usually goes on in our 10 o'clock slot seasonal, and there are multiple shows of that.
Nice.
So I'm a bad Indianapolisian because I've really wanted to go to a show at Comedy Sportz and haven't made it out. What's a typical, you say like with the two teams, do you have a same team that you stay on, or does that rotate? And
the teams, it just depends on, who's wanting to play and who's ready to play, and then you just make a team that way. The matches, it's like a sport. Like it's comedy played as like a sport. And there's two teams. And you play these short form games, and then the audiences will like vote on who they thought was funnier in that round, and then they'll get points. And then at the end of the match, they put the points together and see whoever got the most points gets a trophy.
So it gets pretty competitive.
Oh
between
yeah,
you
but
guys?
it's all in fun. It's
Right.
all yeah. Like the ultimate goal is to always make sure that the people watching are having a great time.
And I
know.
assume the audience is the referee on who's going to win this, or what?
Well, there's a referee that we have as well, and like
Okay.
and that person, explains the games, keeps track of the games, times them, explains games, gets suggestions. But ultimately, like the audience, like they're the ones that vote. Like they're like, oh, we like the red team. Oh, we like the blue team.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, improv can probably go sideways pretty easily. Can you, is there a moment or two in time, and by the way, this is not PG rated, so you could go into detail if you'd like. Improv moment that was just so outrageous that even yourself as a practitioner was just like, okay, well, that got a little crazy.
That got a little crazy.
Yeah. Or is it every
see.
night that you have to do a show? I mean, is it,
Well, I guess in a sense, it's you just never can tell what's ever gonna happen. Like there are some nights where we've gotten like the most unsuspecting looking crowds, and then they've turned up like so hard. And then, you know, we get the crowds that you think are gonna get that you think are gonna be wild, and then they're, you know, just really like timid. Like for some reason, I'm glad that this happens, don't get me wrong, but for some reason, Comedy Sports gets a lot of bachelorette parties.
Interesting.
Oh, okay.
Like a lot, and like especially like the ones where they just where it's kind of like they're trying too hard a little bit. Like, you know, we're gonna wear all the big pink dresses and the dildo hats and we're like, we do family friendly comedy. What?
Right.
Between
Why
which
do you
shot of which alcohol was this a good idea?
Why do you
we're
have penis
thankful.
gear on?
Right. Now we're thankful. We're still gonna do a great show. Like the bachelorette parties are hilarious because they're always just drunk and like, oh my god, I love it. And, you know, it's always like that. But it's just like
Gives you
thankful.
lots of fuel too. I'm
Right,
sure, as
right,
a player,
right.
Yeah.
Kind of to that point, I feel like Mark and I had a similar experience as audience goers to Book of Mormon when it came to town.
Okay.
It's kind of a similar experience to maybe what you see in the audiences, because we went to go see that musical, which for those of you listening or watching that have never seen that, go. It's hilarious.
It is truly
but
funny.
it's over the top, and it has some moments that is just
That also is not quite PG.
Oh,
not PG at all.
hell no.
But they came to town. They performed at the Murat.
Yeah.
And it was, when Mark and I went, a crowd of elderly individuals who looked like they were there for a classic night of musical
They
theater.
probably had
they-
season tickets. They didn't
Season
really.
ticket holders.
Oh, they wasn't ready. They
Yeah.
weren't ready.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. The first 5 to 10 minutes, it was pretty silent in that theater. And then all of a sudden, they just said to hell with it, and they started just cracking up and had the best time.
It was one of those where people were kind of looking around like, wait, am I allowed to be laughing at some of this
Yeah.
stuff?
That's
and then once
like,
everyone
that's my favorite
Yeah.
type of stuff where it's like, can I laugh at this? Am I supposed to laugh at?
And I guess the good news for us was that everybody decided, heck yeah, this is hilarious.
Oh, that could have gotten awkward really quickly, right?
Oh,
If the crowd was just
definitely.
like got up and walked out or something. Yeah.
Oh man, like I don't think like my great grandmother, she had passed last year. God bless her soul. But like I really am glad that she didn't see, like she never even heard of this show. Like she's Baptist Christian. And she's an older black lady, so you know she don't play when it comes to stuff like that. And oh my goodness, if she would have been in this theater and then just heard them singing Hasadiga Ibawai, and they're like, that means fuck you good. Oh my God, she would
have shut the place down. That's it.
she would have like ran over me for going, you're a theater major and they make plays like that. I'm like, it's not a play, it's a musical.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Well, I think we've come to the point in the show where I get to talk about a little bit of what I've been looking at in the news lately.
Alrighty.
So
This is so great.
yeah. Hold on to your butts.
Yeah. You can. Mark is totally jazzed.
I
right
know,
now.
he
You
really-
can see it.
you really
I mean,
enjoy-
you can't, but we can.
He really enjoys both my transitions and my story choices. But anyway, so the first story that I came across this last week, between last Tuesday and today, we try to do this show every Tuesday for those of you who are listening, which is as good a time as any to mention that Tuesdays, where we're at right now at Liberty Street, $4 pints.
It is.
Also, they have their own, speaking of open mic nights, they have their own open
snap.
mic night here.
Yeah.
Right where we're sitting. So sign up, I think, is at 7.
7 starts
PM.
at 8. It's
Starts at
free,
8.
no cover.
Yep.
I might have to slide up in that one.
Yeah,
Talk
definitely.
to Tammy.
Uh-huh.
She's the proprietor of this
Yep.
establishment.
Yep.
If I can put those many big words together in the same sentence. But anyway, the first story that I came across is about Uber launching a luxury service in Indianapolis. So this is from the Indianapolis Star on August 7th. And so basically, I think most of us are fully aware of what Uber is, but the normal service when you sign up for Uber or the normal service that you use, is the Uber X. So that's just the
Right.
random Joe who decided to sign up with the service. And then they've always had, I think, the Uber Black
car.
which is the nicer car.
Yeah.
But this that they're bringing to Indianapolis, it's the Mercedes and the Lamborghinis and
shit.
whatever they can find of somebody that's got a
Lamborghinis?
really nice car.
I was just gonna say, who like wants to go across town and is like, you know what, I need to take a 5-minute ride.
I
in a
would
Lamborghini.
totally do that. Like if I had to show up somewhere downtown, I would totally Uber a Lamborghini.
Just
I
roll
mean,
up
why
in the
not? Why would,
Lamborghini.
and so the guy, there's one guy in here that's quoted in this article is talking about how, cabs have never done very well. UberX has kind of supplanted that just because it's cheaper, but Indy will never work for this. But at the same time, it's only, I think they said it's like maybe 2.5 times more. So
Then a normal Uber ride?
right? So maybe I would do that like once maybe every.
I would at least do
few
it.
months or so.
Yeah, every few months, definitely. Like
for a
sometimes-
special occasion, just roll up in a Lamborghini.
Yeah,
still
sometimes you
don't-
gotta treat yourself. You
If
feel me?
I'm
Treat
treat
yourself.
yourself. If I'm an Uber X driver or just like and even actually a black car driver, to be honest,
Yeah.
I'd be a little ticked about that. If it's only that much more, I was definitely going to eat into your rides
Wait, so
and your
it's
demand.
somebody that has a Lamborghini that's like, you know what, I need a few extra
just gonna
bucks. I'm gonna be an Uber driver.
It's another
Well,
good
see,
point.
that's the
yeah.
thing. If there's any criticism of how this will or won't work, I don't think it's that people won't pay. I think it's that who are going to be the people with these nice cars
Yeah.
willing to have somebody
Maybe
throw
it's-
up in the back.
Have like
Maybe
4
it's
people
like-
pile in the Lamborghini.
right, exactly.
Or maybe it's like one of the things where like they buy the Lamborghinis and they like hire the drivers and then they
Yeah.
say, okay, go out and then make this money and then we'll bring it back.
Yeah.
Like the
I'm
Uber pimps.
I'm skeptical. I don't know if that's
skeptical Brent.
here. It's going to work. Yeah.
I think
I'm not
Uber was
tripping. I
okay.
got a
They could
car.
afford Lambos.
But it's also Lexuses, Mercedes, Audis.
That's what I was gonna say.
So
I've selected black car before. It's because UberX was like a long wait.
Yeah.
And I've been picked up in a Mercedes before.
right.
It wasn't like I know. My goodness, it wasn't like so. I guess if you're talking about scale here, a Mercedes sedan is not a Lamborghini, right? So if it's
Right.
actually like a luxury car, Mercedes, I'd rather do the UberX.
Yeah.
To be honest. Now, if all of a sudden a Lamborghini shows up on the radar, I might select it.
Right,
but,
right.
Yeah.
Which I always enjoy when it comes to like Indy 500 and they change the cars to all the like Indy cars on the Uber.
Yeah.
That's always funny. So
That's
if
great.
you had like a
Right.
little Uber
like Lamborghini.
Lamborghini coming to your house, I mean
yeah.
that by itself, that's enjoyable. Right
Yeah,
there.
just seeing it on the
Just
screen.
watching a cartoon Lamborghini coming at me. Screenshot. But on the same note, maybe in reference to Uber, something else that was mentioned in this that give credit where credit's due, in my opinion. One of the things that Governor Pence has done correct, maybe in the last year, was he did sign a bill that allowed ride sharing without pretty much, not no regulation, but it definitely opened the door to it being more. I'm looking at Brent just waiting to be cut off, but because there's a mayor in New York City was standing in the way of it.
Lots
and
of
so-
localities have because the argument is it's compared to a taxi service.
Sure.
Shuttle service, it's not regulated whatsoever.
True.
This ride sharing stuff. So, it creates an uncompetitive playing field if you're starting to compare Uber
Sure,
to a taxi
taxis
or whatever.
to
I'm not
Ubers,
saying
yeah.
that I disagree or agree with that. I'm just saying that, I can see the argument from the other side that's saying you're kind of handicapping me by at least, okay, fine, don't regulate me then.
Yeah,
Take some of those
yeah.
regulations off of me if you're going to treat Uber that way. But yeah, there have been plenty of localities that have at least done some research and tried to figure out, okay, what is this doing to our, taxi or shuttle industry? So
I drive, so I'm good.
I believe me, I use Uber probably once every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So
I used Uber when I was in Chicago because I went to a party on the north side and just got belligerently drunk.
they are good for that.
Oh,
Definitely.
definitely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't argue with the fact that I would hope if somebody ever does a study of this, if somebody hasn't already, that it's reducing drunk driving. I mean, it's just really easy to dial.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Listen,
Go on
back
your
before
app and-
Uber was in town, when we lived on Mass Ave, we would call Yellow Cab, and they wouldn't tell us the time frame they'd be there.
Sure.
it would sometimes take 45 minutes to an hour or longer. And so, they have definitely changed the game and it's probably time that the taxi cab folks adapt, in my opinion.
Definitely.
Yeah. At the very even the most adamant Uber critic or,
Yeah.
or whatever would say
You
hey,
really
at least-
wanted to say haters, didn't you?
hate is gonna hate.
Haters.
But they at least make
Oh my god.
they at least make them up their game. The taxis. up
They're
their
going to
game.
have to, right? Yeah.
This other story that I came across is actually from one of our listeners out there suggested this article to me. So for those of you listening, watching on YouTube, listening on iTunes, by the way, subscribe. Send us your thoughts, ideas, comment on Facebook, facebook.com/flyoverlive, or on our YouTube page, or email us and let us know your ideas. But one of our listeners sent us this Vanity Fair article, which is talking about Tinder and the dawn of the, quote, dating apocalypse. And part of what this show's all about is the opinions of 3 Midwestern millennials. So this is covering that base. And so anyway, this article, which we've kind of talked about a little bit before about dating and whatnot, with Aziz Ansari's book, but just how any of this online dating atmosphere has kind of ruined the potential for meaningful relationships among millennials, particularly the younger 20-somethings, mid-20-somethings.
I think it definitely has made it take a hit. Like now with online dating, you have this expectation to sum up all the deep parts of yourself into 2 or 3 word phrase and have that be a representation of you, when like everything about you is probably the super, super deep, and online dating doesn't capture that now. Like it's forcing yourself to be this one-dimensional person.
Or heck, for a lot of them, it's forget about words, you're swiping pictures of people.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah,
You know?
Tinder. That's probably really sad for people, because it's like it's just a picture, and if people are just swiping left on you, they're probably like, "Damn, I'm an ugly motherfucker, man." Like,
It's pure based on attraction, right? I mean, like just
Right.
what,
and what
in
this-
a profile picture. Basically.
And what this article is going over is a couple of these guys, they are interviewing guys in New York about, what their experience has been with Tinder. And they're talking to these, 24, 25-year-old guys, talking about their text game and how they can, get girls just by texting.
Oh God!
And this one gentleman refers to them as Tinderellas.
Oh god.
Tinderella.
This article is filled with such men.
pun game strong, Tinderella.
Oh, yeah.
Tinderella.
But what's interesting, though, is this is Vanity Fair, nationally renowned magazine. But they're also, one of the benefits from living in the state of Indiana is we've got Indiana University, which has the Kinsey School of Sexology.
That's exactly what it's called, actually.
I think,
Yeah,
So
engraved
on
in
the
stone.
degrees and
So
everything.
the study
they
that
give
they're
out.
citing is actually they
From the
looked at
Kinsey
people,
Institute?
from Kinsey, and looking at the younger millennials, because we're talking about 18 to 34, 5-year-olds, the 20-something millennials in New Albany, Indiana, compared to New York City, compared to somewhere in Connecticut or something like that. And so it's just interesting to see that, a Midwestern state being included in the study, which is always cool.
All right.
Yeah, I wonder why I guess New Albany's really close to Louisville. I don't know why you would single out New Albany, but
Maybe just for because you've got the metropolitan
so
New
go
York
ahead and
look,
find
Right.
a
you've got
smaller
the
town in the
Midwestern look,
Midwest. Yeah.
But like even it sounds like the girls from New Albany that they interviewed had more complaints about the guys on Tinder than the New York girls. So that kind of doesn't bode well for Midwestern guys.
We are a prudent people here in Indiana, right? Maybe they were just coming on a little too strong or something, maybe down there in New Albany. So
Maybe.
yeah.
It does seem to raise expectations if you can just kind of a la carte pick who you want just from the app. I was all set to play devil's advocate against your guys' arguments, but I don't know if I can be on the side of somebody that uses the term Tinderellas, so
Tinderella.
I might have to sit this one out.
As producer, that actually that could be your like Spinderella, you know, like
Yeah.
that could be your if you were to endorse these views here, that could have been your nickname, Tinderella.
Yeah, man.
No, I think I don't know. It makes me feel old anyway to say that it's sort of exacerbated the hookup, you know, kind of culture or whatever, kind of sex first, purely on attraction. But there's probably a lot of merit to that position. That's what these apps are basically.
I guess it's like, you know, it's that double-sided coin of, have we evolved to just wanting to just like, hey, you look attractive, bang bang, and then out of there, versus I'm not trying to find someone, I just want that bang bang and out of there. Like it's that double-sided coin.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny is that I think there's actually a quote in here that mentions bang bang.
Bang bang, for real?
He read the he cheated.
Maybe he just stole it from me.
But yeah, and the other issue is that not only just making everybody incredibly superficial, but also the fact that, you know, you've got this what seems like an unlimited supply of other women or other men to choose from. You never want to commit to anything because now you've got
The world is at your fingertips,
Right. That makes sense.
literally.
Where it used to be that you'd marry the person down the street from you, and now you've got the entire world at your fingertips. So why would I ever commit?
Right.
I just read something about that. I don't think it was that article, but it basically was saying that men in particular behave differently when there's a perceived surplus of like women.
And this article
you know?
kind of
Is
talks
that what it
about
kind of
that.
talks
Yeah.
about?
Wait,
Yeah.
so you telling me that I act differently if there's one pretty lady as opposed to 1,000?
Men in
That
general.
you-
Oh, just in
Right.
general?
Not you or me, but like across the spectrum, men behave differently whenever they. To Cliff's point, like your neighborhood,
called-
your,
it's
your
the
high
fear
school
of missing
girlfriend
out.
or something. Yeah,
FOMO?
FOMO.
sure.
FOMO.
Fear of missing out. But it's men behave differently, and it's I don't know. I forget like the sociological impact, but it does have an impact on like how we interact,
Oh,
how
sure.
we
The
date, how
choices
we
you
see
make,
each other.
sure.
So
Sure.
I don't know. Probably getting a little too deep when when the folks. When he's calling it Tinderella,
Yeah, I know.
Getting a little too
We're
deep
still
in the
talking about the
analysis.
Tinderella article, right?
I don't think the person that used the term Tinderella probably correctly understands the dating world in general.
In his mind, he's got it down, but
That's
Hopefully that
that's who
person
we
wrote
all
the
need to
article.
be
His
text
taking
game.
our relationship advice from.
text game.
If you have
solid.
strong text game and strong Tinder game, then you probably have a very weak arm game. I'm putting my arm around a female
yeah,
figure.
it's a good
I,
point.
you know,
right?
if that's what I'm into.
But then
Hey, baby.
That was good technique, though. You probably have strong arm game from the look.
I
of
do
it.
have strong arm game. I used to wrestle. I also used to be 14 and single, so my arm game
Oh,
is
the arm
very
game's
strong.
man.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Nice.
and then just one more article on that kind of area of topic of conversation. A story from the Independent out of the UK, why millennials are no longer going to nightclubs. And I only picked this out because there's a quote in here about how, well, if there's apps like Tinder and I can just dial up open an app and find a lady or a guy, why do I need to go to the clubs anymore? So it's
Yeah.
like there's this like dramatic drop, at least in the UK, of people going to nightclubs and whatnot.
Or just the
And they
fact
also
that
talk
they're
about
nightclubs.
Netflix. Well, that too.
Maybe that. It's
They've always
folks
been
finally
pretty
caught
terrible.
on to. Yeah.
Oh no,
So
clubs
we-
always seem to be like a popular thing. Like at least in America, like like everyone likes the strange
Yeah.
and then
Let
grind
loose
it on
and
while
dance
drunk.
and-
Like it's
yeah.
it's the American dream.
I can see that though. You get your own little virtual nightclub right there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're swiping away and. Yeah.
And then the last story on this whole relationship binge that I'm on right now is I only stopped to
It's a
read
little
this
peep
one.
inside Cliff's mind.
It
isn't
is. This
the
is-
first
this
three
is-
stories on relationships,
What do you
ladies.
What do you really want to talk about today?
You know, guys, I really felt like this was the time that okay. The next article though was about how the Midwest leads the nation in marital fidelity. So kind of counter to everything we just talked about. Was another article
Hookup
about,
culture and
about how
See,
Midwesterners
Tinder
in
works.
general.
Tinder works.
Yeah, once you get into the
Empirical
relationship,
evidence that Tinder works.
once you get into the relationship, you're fine. You'll be, at least if you live in the Midwest.
Did it say any, were there like opinions as to why that's the case? I mean, we're a good and decent people here in the
I think
Midwest.
so.
I like
think
the
that's-
Midwest.
Midwestern values. It's not a cliche. It's the truth.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of everything here.
I mean, that's a lot
Yeah.
of numbers. I don't know. There's no
Yeah.
opinion.
Numbers.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that we spent 20 minutes on hookup culture and Tinderella and about a minute on, we do behave ourselves actually when it comes to
Well, I mean,
relationships.
I guess that's because you don't need to congratulate it because that's what's supposed to happen if you're gonna be.
You're married. Yeah, absolutely.
You did it. Good job. Move on. Like,
Marriage fidelity, cool. Moving on.
Yeah. No, not as cool to talk about how people actually stay in their marriages and are
Great job, everyone.
The entertainment value.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Oh boy.
Okay, well, I guess the one funny story I came across was I was totally confused by, and so the title is "Gay Teens Have a Higher Pregnancy Rate Than Their Straight Peers," and I found it because it's a study out of Minnesota, so keeping to our Midwestern roots here with the show and our theme here, and my first thought was somebody doesn't understand what the question here, because you've got higher pregnancy rates among gay teens. And I looked up the organization that did the study. I'm like, this has to be like a Christian group or something. Like,
yeah.
that's not possible. How is that even possible?
The 700 Club or something. Put that
Right.
out.
Plus, like the picture on the article, like kind of.
It's an old
It
lady.
looks like Mort Goldman's wife on Family Guy.
That's
This is just like
for those
a
who can't
blog
see it.
written by
He's
a
spot
lady.
on.
Yeah. It's uncanny.
Well, come on, don't.
Okay, so
help us out here. What's the?
So anyway, no, I couldn't find anything about like whether they're affiliated with anything in particular. But I think if there's any logical explanation to the title of this story, it is that they included bisexual teens. So those were the ones that bumped up the numbers. But it's a really,
If you're bisexual in real life, you're gay on paper. Something like
That's what
that.
they're saying,
something-
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Come on. So moral of the story is get your act together, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Moral of the story is maybe we can't believe everything we read on the internet, which is baffling to me.
That does really.
But
It's a
for-
blow
in
to
my
my.
defense, it
Yeah.
was the Minnesota Star Tribune.
I'm
So-
not blaming you at all. I'm saying this is weird, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're right. That 3/4 of that first page of that story was like a curly-haired old woman.
Yeah, it was.
So I don't know.
Because she's who we should trust on teen
Issues of
LGBT
teen
issues.
LGBT
maybe
sex,
maybe
and
their
pregnancy.
maybe the whole plan was to put have the headline and then be like, oh, this is that was the draw, but then the picture's just like, oh, now I don't want to read it. So now you just have the headline in your head.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like-
Yeah, good point.
Well, one of the biggest stories that came out of the Midwest the last week was the Republican presidential debate in Cleveland.
Cleveland.
Yeah, almost messed that up right off the bat.
Yeah.
And so anyway, did either of you guys watch the debate?
I will admit I didn't watch the entire debate. I watched part of it, and I've seen the sort of headline-grabbing clips, but I didn't watch it from start to finish.
Did you enjoy some of that, Daryl?
I will proudly say that I did not watch it. I'm a prime example of what is wrong with the youth and the voting culture.
I will say you didn't miss much.
I figured.
In the way of substance, now entertainment value. I thought
Entertainment
it was-
value.
Oh, definitely.
Well, and that's the thing. Nielsen ratings, 24 million viewers, I think was the official number.
Broke the
compared
debate
to,
record.
broke the records. And
But did they beat the Friends finale?
well,
We'd have to go back a little
I
way.
think
It's like it was like in
Yeah.
the 64s or something.
Yeah.
Nah,
Well, for
nah,
debates.
son.
Now, in its defense, Trump was not in the Friends finale.
that's true.
That is
so
true.
maybe
Maybe
would have
that's
added Trump
what,
to that.
Yeah, Trump NATO.
They would have gotten
Boys just
another
taking it by
24 million
storm.
Oh,
viewers.
definitely.
Totally.
They might have broke
Now,
100.
This big rating is almost exclusively due to Trump.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I have to say yes.
According
Probably,
to
yeah.
Trump, by the way.
Yeah.
Today he said
Right.
there only would have been 2 million watching, but
Yeah.
instead there were 24.
That's
and it
I
might
sort of
be
buy that.
close to being okay,
Right.
to be honest.
Because if there's anything that Trump's good at, it's math.
Yeah.
And
Math and being
hairstyle.
humble, right? That's
Right.
something he's really good at. Well,
Exactly.
no, I was, and of course, the aftermath of it all and the things that, he had to say to Megyn
Megyn
Kelly,
Kelly,
and to be
yeah.
honest, the fact that he's overshadowed everybody, not because of like his political prowess, but just because of the celebrity cult
Yeah.
of personality thing. I'd be ticked if I were the other candidates.
I have no idea what the plan is other than just to be the star of the show for a while. Be like he's just crazy and insane and terrible, and I don't know what the end game is.
I honestly think this is like Andy Kaufman's last act or something.
it's
Like he is,
sort of
it's a
seems
performance
like that.
artist thing. Like
Like
a
he's
year
gonna-
from now, it's gonna come out that like he was just like taping this all, and it was gonna be.
He's like,
a
this is for
documentary.
IndyFringe.
Like it was an
Yeah,
or it was
yeah.
like it was an ultimate art project originally started by like Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin that's been going throughout history.
Seriously. At this point, though, like as off the rails as it has gotten, nothing would surprise me. And like, I keep trying to think about like what the end of this looks like.
That's what I'm saying. I have no
When's
idea
it
what's
crest?
going on.
He's
Yeah,
up by
it's-
10 points in every single poll. Like,
Right.
what does he? He's already trashed immigrants. He's trashed veterans. He's trashed women.
Right.
Like, at what point do you begin to lose, popularity? I don't know. I mean, he's
I don't
maintained
know.
a big lead. So
I guess it's because there's always going to be there's always going to be a surprising and overwhelming amount of support for no matter what you are. Like you could say like the most outlandish.
it's that
like,
personality
it's-
thing,
yeah.
man. And people
And it's
are-
the money thing too. Like
Yeah.
they might hate him, but they might love The Apprentice. Like that might be a big
Seriously.
thing. And to that degree, I'm very surprised. I'm surprised like just some celebrity of some sort just hasn't like ran independently already. Like to that degree, if Donald Trump can go out and say the most outlandish shit and then still like be pulling ahead in all of these polls, then why not say like you're Will Smith or something? Why hasn't Will Smith like ran for president yet?
I wouldn't put it. The thing is,
To
I
that
wouldn't
same
put it
degree.
past him to run, because he's so like hubris. Like if he doesn't get the nomination, Donald Trump would say, you know what, to heck with it. I'm running as.
Because he's
independent."
still Donald Trump at the end of the
Yes.
day. He's gonna.
Yeah.
There's no downside for him.
No,
Right.
there isn't.
Yeah, and I think everybody has decided that. Well, the first question that they asked him at debate was, would you
Yeah.
foreclose the idea of running as an independent? He said no.
Yep. No.
But
It's just,
Yeah.
it's just crazy to me. You are surprised by all of it, but also wouldn't be surprised by anything that happens. I just don't know what the hell.
It's how off the rails it's gotten. It's really unprecedented in sort of like modern day.
Oh, sure.
Gosh, really a venture to say throughout the history of American politics. I mean, this is
Yeah.
uncharted territory.
yeah, you think about somebody who has, the money that he has, the
He could
celebrity
self-fund.
that he has.
Yep.
That has not the combination of those two has not really been matched. I think
No.
in any prior.
No.
You've always had kind of
yet.
crazy candidates, but they've either not had the money to
Yeah.
continue, or if they've had the money, like Ross Perot, he didn't have the name ID
Yeah.
like Trump has, and so he kind of
Yeah, he
peters
wasn't on
out or-
Apprentice for 7 seasons.
Right.
Right,
and that's
right.
exactly why I think he's using that. Like he's got this platform now because now if he wins, like for him it's a win-win situation no matter. If he wins, he's president. If he loses, he was the guy that was almost president and can almost come back. And
Exactly
yeah,
right.
it's
Well, it's like we were watching the show called Black Mirror. It's a sci-fi show that's British.
Great show.
And
I call
there's-
that the morning.
There's an episode where they have like a literal cartoon character running for office, and it reminds me so much of this actual Republican primary. And
Yes.
About as close as you can get to it.
And it's
Yeah.
crazy
Yeah.
because
It's
this
clown
is a
car.
sci-fi show that's supposed to be in the future, and this is
And it's
literally
happening
happening right now.
Yeah, I think you could safely say that Donald Trump is the closest you can get to a living, breathing cartoon character.
He really is a caricature. I mean,
That is
But
true.
Yeah.
the two biggest policy things I think that came out of the debate, just to get wonky for a moment here, is one, John Kasich, the governor of Ohio, had some great, moderate things to say that I think everybody can say, all right, hey, there's one responsible adult that showed up to this debate where he kind of talked about, hey, if I had a gay daughter, no matter what my feelings are on gay marriage, I would love my daughter. I would go to that wedding. Like, I'm not going to, judge anybody that Why are you grinning?
I'm grinning because that's how sad it is,
True.
right? That
Yeah, it's a very
you
low
seem
bar. It's
you
a low
seem
bar.
sensible when you say, I would still love her.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Like, this
Yeah.
is my daughter, you know? I'd still love her.
Like
I mean,
you said, it's the congratulations
Yeah.
that doesn't really need to be
Yeah.
congratulated on.
I would begrudgingly go to her wedding, but, you know.
I
like,
still
I'd
love her. I'm doing. I give me some credit.
Yeah.
Like no.
You're behaving like a rational human being.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I
it's
guess
a low
that's
bar.
where we are at this
You're
point.
right, because a lot of them have said that they wouldn't even attend a same-sex wedding.
Yeah.
So, you know.
And the other big policy thing that I picked up on was just on a woman's right to choose, that Marco Rubio kind of made a few headlines on the fact that he's against women's right to choose in all circumstances, regardless of any exceptions. So that was kind of a huge deal.
So rape, incest, and in the case of a woman's life being endangered, he, you know,
Right.
would support a legislation
complete
that
ban.
would
See,
completely
you
ban
know
it.
what? See,
So-
you know what's got to happen. Somebody's got to run up in his house one night, and take his wife,
Oh God.
and be like, "Okay, you still feel that way?" No, for real. Like that's some of the things that like changes a lot of people. Like when they go through those.
Have a personal
Yeah, when they go through those
experience.
personal experiences, like
Yeah.
I bet like a lot of those people that in the South, like, okay, before the overall, same-sex marriage thing happened, like just recently, I was looking through there and I was just like looking at what states like had it legalized and what hadn't legalized, and I was like, man. I was like, Alabama's probably gonna be like the last state to get it, and then it was like the next one, like, and it was like really soon after I had that thought, I was like, wow, that's weird. Like, it's gotta be like there has to be like something that's going on that's changing people's minds, like,
Yeah.
and it's also proving that when these people are having their minds changed, it's also proving that like when you have these other people that are like they're consciously making this decision to have these ignorant views, and it's really sad too. Because like,
Yeah. Well, because, even in the face of having family or friends, you know, that are in same-sex relationships that want to get married or whatever, like, if you still are against, you know, that institution, then, you are making a conscious choice, whether it's politics or not, to not support
Right.
that community. So,
And then in other news here in Indiana, fairly big news was Glenda Ritz dropping out of the gubernatorial race here in Indiana. So basically, on the Democrat side, we had Glenda Ritz and John Gregg, and we've got an exploratory thing going on with is it Tom Sugar? And so she dropped out. She's going to continue. She's going to go back, run for her current title, run for office for the same office she has now, which is Superintendent of Education, in 2016. So, there's the Indy Star article that I came across was, entitled "Why She Did It." So it's just one person's opinion, but we've got fundraising issues and whether she felt like she was properly prepared to run, because it is definitely something that's a different ball game than running for governor than it is superintendent of education. But Brent?
I feel like if she was thinking that way one way or the other, she chose the right time to do it. I mean, the last thing you want to do is stick around for another round of fundraising, filing deadlines, and showing that you're, that if she was going to remain that much further behind John Gregg and Mike Pence, that it would have made her look sort of, even worse, I guess, in the way of competitiveness. So I think she made the right decision. I think she's still very much endeared by the educator community, by parents and students that wanted to see the change from Tony Bennett. They wanted to see her get in there and shake things up a little bit. So I think she made the right call. She chose the right time to do it, and she came out, I think, within 2 days and endorsed John Gregg.
Yeah.
So she's making all the right sort of political calculations.
Yeah,
I
it
think,
seemed like
right now.
it all went pretty smoothly as far as everybody getting on board with everybody's decisions, and it went about as well
and
as
you
probably could have imagined.
Karen Talion is also running, Democrat from Northwest Indiana. She's in the state senate currently. Attorney, very sharp.
From the region.
From the region.
Do you know like where specifically?
I want to say she's Portage.
Oh,
I
snap.
Also, yeah, I also
All
wanted to
right.
say
Yeah,
Portage.
yeah, I
That's
think
what was
she's
gonna
in
say.
Portage.
Like one of my good friends is from Portage.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
sweet.
She's, region attorney, very sharp. I think, and she's not. John Gregg has just really sort of taken the mantle when it comes to fundraising. She's not close, but it's good to have some level of competition for a primary. But I think you'll probably wind up seeing John Gregg as the nominee. I don't want to get out in front of it, but I think that's who it'll probably be. But yeah, I wasn't necessarily surprised by Glenda's decision, but I thought it was the right time to do it if she was thinking that.
Well, I guess this is a point in the show where I ask everybody any plans for this weekend, any events you guys are. I mean, I know obviously we've got Fringe going on.
Definitely.
Yeah.
The Fringe Festival, that's going to be
Is
like
that take over your life for the next few
it's
weeks?
gonna take over. It's taken over the comedy sports part of my life for the
Okay.
next few weeks. Well, for the next 2 weeks. Because if I'm not doing the show, then I'm working in the kitchen there, or just helping out with the theater
Sure.
in general. So
Brent?
yeah, so definitely Fringe.
Any big plans this
Going
week?
to a wedding on Saturday.
Okay.
And I think that's about its rock stars all good this
You
weekend.
taking a +1?
I'm a spoken for man, so.
Oh snap! Yeah, you are.
The wifey.
Yeah, so the wife will be going with me.
We've also got the Indiana State Fair continues to go on for the next few weeks as well. So for anybody that's looking into that, a lot of free concerts. Mark, any plans for the weekend?
I don't think so. I kind of want to check out Orange is the New Black Keys one night. So.
Yeah, I've heard there's
There you
this
go.
great show going on at
Yeah.
Friends.
Yes,
Orange is
like-
the New Black Keys.
I'm really
So-
excited for this show. Like it's
Well.
gonna be really funny.
Yeah.
Good.
Are there any big movies coming out for the rest of this summer?
Straight out of Compton.
Oh my
Woo!
gosh.
If you
That
haven't figured
looks
it out by now,
awesome.
I am black on the
And
podcast.
if
Yeah.
you're watching this on YouTube, how is that possible?
No, those trailers look amazing.
Yeah, I'm really excited to check it out.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Cliff, yourself, weekend plans?
Yeah. I think maybe seeing Orange is the New Black Keys, but otherwise, I think another relaxing weekend of not too much going on. I'm pretty excited. Little networking event on Friday I'm going to, but other than that, hopefully a chill weekend. But
Great.
next week, next Tuesday, do we have Mr.
Not a 100% confirmation,
Okay.
but
Possibility,
check back.
folks. Indy
check
11.
back to the stuff.
And so, for everybody, thank you for listening, and we hope that you come
Where
back
do
next week.
we check you out on your online stuff?
Yeah.
You can check us out at Comedy Sports. You know, we have a Facebook page, Comedy Sports Indianapolis, or CSZ Indianapolis. Find us on CSZ Indy on Twitter. Also, currently, we have a player from Indy currently going on a world tour right now. There are not 40. There are like 20, 25-ish Comedy Sportses all over the globe, and right now we have a player. Her name is Claire Wilcher. She's going. She's got like an RV, a camera, like a buddy with her, and like they're going to all the Comedy Sports cities that have Comedy Sports, and
That's
like they're
cool.
doing like a blurb
That's
about
very
them.
cool.
So
Very cool.
just wanted to give that a little
Yeah.
reference.
Well, also like us on Facebook. We're just Flyover Live, as I said earlier in the show. Facebook.com/FlyoverLive, at Flyover Live for Twitter and Instagram, and be sure to subscribe on iTunes and subscribe on YouTube. Thanks a lot, everybody.
thanks, everybody.
Black cloud rising, broad and wide, like a dark horizon before my eyes. Better pray for peace, guard my kin, 'cause the thunderhead is rolling